Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video we've got actually a nice variation on the team I used in the DeadwoodJedi faction games. I'm not going to tell you what happened in the faction games because I'm not sure when Deadwood is going to release those videos and whatnot and how it's all going to sync up. I'm recording this right after the run that we had, but yeah, we'll see. But what I want to show you in today's video, this is a slightly different team. In the actual run I did, I used Tomb Lord, but in this run we're using Thylessia. Now the reason I switched them around was that this Thylessia run, you're gonna see, she does some insane stuff, but the team is very, very, very squishy. The rules were, had to only use champions from the Knights Revenant faction, and that adds a lot of difficulty to it for sure. So, who do we have here going in? Well, of course we have Thylessia herself. She's in a relentless set. One of the big problems with her, you can see from her HP bar, she has terrible base defensive stats. I've tried to make her reasonably tanky while also doing reasonable damage. It's definitely the downside though, is that she is squishy, but she has a 3-turn cooldown AoE with decreased defense, then a 3-turn cooldown as well, second AoE that increases or extends all debuffs, which is really powerful. And she also has a 50% chance as well to place HEX whenever she hits someone that has decreased defense. So she's bringing us decreased defense, HEX, both in AoE, and she's also extending our debuffs. So she has this incredible potential in Hydra to really start things snowballing. And obviously Hex has been buffed recently as well. It starts to duplicate some of your damage across. And it also lets you target the Head of Mischief, which I need to watch back. Anyway, I won't say anything. Maybe that was a problem. But anyway, anyway, as you can see, there you go. We've got the Hex up on the leftmost head, the Head of Decay, which is pretty cool. Who else do we have in here? We've got Shemnath, who just took a go. Shemnath is one of the new champions recently added to the game. She is in here to nuke. She can also strip buffs. Her AoE nuke actually can strip buffs as well, so that's to remove that increased attack from the Head of Wrath. It's not fully consistent because although it's a 100% chance to strip buffs, Shemnath is the weak affinity, so stuff can definitely go wrong. We also have Mother Cybele here in the lead. She can do this health swap stuff, which is really cool, and she's built with high resistance so that when she does this health swap, she actually ends up sort of tanking the Head of Decay potentially, ends up tanking the Head of Mischief most importantly. So that's not certainly consistent. Head of Mischief steals our stuff all the time, but that's what we're running with. We don't have block buffs with this team, which is really the scary thing. So that there's no way for us to stop Wrath getting these buffs. There's no way to stop Mischief stealing these buffs reliably. We just have to sort of deal with it, and it limits the protective buffs that we can bring with us as well. We have Rector Drath here. She's in Reflex set. She is healing the team and reviving, and the Perfect Veil protects us from Torment. And then we've got Doom Priest, who gives us increased attack, which really ups the damage of both Thylessia and also, yeah, also Shemnath has been eaten as well. So that stuff sort of comes together to be quite helpful. But you can see with this team, it's not a clean run. To put it bluntly, what this team really struggles with is the Head of Wrath plus the Head of Decay together. It's a really nasty combo. It's just hard to come back from, basically. It's hard to come back from. Again, we struggle to place decreased attack. Our only source of decreased attack is Rector Drath. She's got masteries with Sniper. She has a 55% chance to place decreased attack on Head of Wrath. It's not very reliable, and then Head of Decay is stripping it quite often. It just ends up being a fairly bad time. So we just have to sort of heal through it. We've got Guardian sets on Tomb Drang. I haven't mentioned yet, but Tomb Drang on Doom Priest, they both have Guardian sets to try keep us alive a little bit more. But yeah, look at this. Big smack coming in from her. We get the buff strip there, at least some of it, from Shemnath. And Wrath is just really beating us up. The scary thing about this is not only about being smacked around, but Thylessia is really squishy and Shemnath is really squishy, and Wrath can kill either of them. He can crit Shemnath especially, which is real bad. Here we go, going for the Hex, and we get the Hex. Trying to attack someone with decreased attack to really up our damage here. So that's always a scary thing with this team. I definitely wouldn't recommend this team, you know, but it's a fun one to look at as something to see. We're going to up the speed here actually, and let's rip through more of this. This run actually went really well. This was not my best run with this team, but I forgot to record my best one. But this one goes pretty well. Shemnath also extending those debuffs on the boss is pretty cool. And if Head of Blight comes in, Shemnath can also transfer the poisons onto the heads that are vulnerable to poison. So onto Torment, onto Decay, onto Suffering. They're vulnerable to poison, so Shemnath can help there. Can we see Mother Cybele being really helpful here for trying to keep people alive, trying to top them up? We have to constantly be aware of the cleanse coming in from Decay as well. We don't have a reliable provoke. Mother Cybele can land a provoke with a taunting set, but it's very unreliable. We simply can't rely on it. And look here, you can see like that Head of Wrath, he is just ripping the team apart. Like we are barely hanging on. So I think when you watch this run, you can understand why I decided not to use this team for the actual competition, which was you get one shot and that's it. But you can also see sort of the strength of this team, and it's really going to snowball when we get Decay out of here, right? This is the problem with Decay. Decay comes in and he cleanses the debuffs, which sucks. It really ruins our day. But when Decay eventually leaves, and then we start extending with this relentless Thylessia, we can really start to get huge value out of these debuffs, out of the Hex, and just really start slamming damage. So you can basically see how this is going. Let's skip on ahead a little bit. Let's actually wait for Decay to go away. You can see we're building up some good damage. And here we go. Let's have a quick look at this. This is how it looks now when Decay is gone. So this is probably our ideal setup, perhaps. Actually, I think Head of Blight's not too bad. We might rather have Head of Blight than Head of Mischief. But really the problems that we face with this team, when you go in with no block buffs and no provoke that's reliable, the biggest problems that you face are definitely Head of Decay comboed with either Blight or Wrath or even Mischief as well, right? Because all that stuff can go wrong. Head of Mischief eats someone. This is why you try not to kill Head of Mischief when Head of Decay is in there. If Head of Decay puts a shield on Mischief and Mischief eats you, you're in for a real bad time. But now we can see that, okay, we've got the block debuffs on him, but we're going to start being able to really ramp up here. We've got the decreased speeds, we've got the decreased defense, we've got the Hex out on everyone. We're trying to strip those buffs, and now we're extending these debuffs. Now we're going to be able to get the burns on as well and start extending those. There we go. Now the burns are on. Unfortunately, she did get eaten, but here's the really great thing. This would normally be pretty scary, 2 turns to break them free, but because of that Hex from Thylessia, every hit connects. So we kill off Mischief, break that person free in like no time flat. It's actually really, really nice. Of course, the downside here is what would happen? What would you do if we didn't get these heads spawning in? What if it was Head of Decay and Head of Decay cleanses? Then you're in big trouble, and there's nothing you can do about it. And here again, we're just going to start slamming this damage, and you can see we're really starting to pull ahead in a big way. Like that turn meter deplete comes in from killing Mischief. We've got the decreased speed on, and now we're sort of like running circles around these guys. It's actually pretty cool. One of the sort of tough decisions then becomes, what do I do at Shemnath? Do I just extend the debuffs? Or do I do other things? Like, look at this on Head of Suffering in the middle. He's got 5 turns of Hex, 5 turns of decreased defense. It's such a cool combo. Really, really cool. Now we're going to start slamming into this head. And you can see these little damage ticks popping up now as well from that Hex, which is really awesome. Whenever we hit these decapitated heads, it really ups the damage. Like we just got 20k in each of those other 2 heads from the Hex duplicating 10% of the damage. That damage amp on the heads really comes across. This is actually a really good spot. This is where the orangey is gone well. Decay has not come back. We've got Blight. That's fine. We can deal with Blight. It's annoying, but here's where it's okay. Because we don't have Decay in here who's going to cleanse, and because we're already sort of ahead of the game, right? We got burn on before Decay showed up, before Blight showed up. Now with Thylessia, we just keep extending that burn. And even though Tombdrang decreases the burn with his A1, Thylessia, Relentless, is so good that she's able to just keep it up all the time pretty much, which is just awesome. Like, it's so, so cool. Rip those buffs off, and you can see we're trying to target heads that have got lots of turns left on the burn. We don't want those burns to fall off while they're still under Poison Cloud. We want to be able to still attack them. And there we go. Thylessia extends once again. Yeah, big hit from Wrath. Really big hit from Wrath. And you can see, I mean, even there, even with decreased attack on, like, it's still so sketchy, man. This is why it was so fun to be trying this team out. There you go. Decreased defense is on. And now Mother Cybele is trying to keep us alive. This is a run that you're constantly under stress. Again, Mischief eats us, but look at that. The Hex from Thylessia, boom, and we're just ripping through. Oh, she also debuff spreads in her A1. I forgot to say that, which is really good as well. I will let it run for another minute more because I think we're going to get some good damage out. But you guys, basically, you see how this team works. And the nice thing is you could definitely switch up this team, right? You can bring in Thylessia as your decreased defense, and she's going to be very good in combination with other champions. So maybe like an Archbishop Pinthroy who brings you lots of healing, increased defense. He might be a good one, and bringing in that block buffs. I'd definitely be trying to bring in someone like with block buffs. You could bring in a Deliana. It would be really nice as well. AoE block buffs, and that leech is going to heal Thylessia tons. Champions with Guardian set will help her stay alive and really do this damage. Again, we're really prioritizing, by the way, Tomb Drang, blowing up the HP burns on these decapitated heads. And you can see like the damage is just, it really starts to ramp up. Like when you start smacking decapitated heads and there's hex everywhere, like the damage that we're starting to do starts to get pretty crazy. Like when Shemnath pops off, it gets real good real fast. Head of Decay comes back in, which is definitely what you don't want to see. Bang, bang, bang. Nice hits. There we go. But yeah, I mean, that's basically how the run went. I guess this Head of Decay is what ultimately got us in the end. Yeah, it is. Like, we kept going for a while. The Head of Decay really got in the way. And at the end of this run, 39.21 million damage, which was, I think, really, really solid here. But it's pretty much, it's dodgy the whole way through, and you're just praying that Decay doesn't come in. Like, Decay, when you go away, everything is so much easier for the Nice Revenant. It is. So yeah, I thought that was fun. You can see in terms of the overall damage, Tomb Drang at the top of 14 million. In this run, Thylessia actually beat Shemnath. And I'll show you their gear now, which is super incredible. On top of just the value that you don't see of what she's adding to everything with Hex, what she's adding, you know, the value of being able to target Mischief directly, the value of extending those debuffs is really quite phenomenal. But again, the things you're looking to pair her, I think pairing her with something like Bibbled of the Thorn and Archbishop Pinthroy or Deliana, getting champs in that have block buffs, getting champs in that can protect and that can provoke and stop that Head of Decay. Like if you lock down Head of Decay and then you start extending those debuffs, like it's really, really cool. So yeah, this is the most fun team I had. I was sad I didn't decide to use it in the end, but like I said, it was just a bit too dodgy. If you can see how close we were to wiping so many times there. And if I show you the builds that we used on these champions here on the test server, I have to record this like right now because the test server is stopping. I took a break for dinner after Deadwood stream and then we're straight in. We've got Mother Cybele in taunting. She has these stats. So important with her, she wants her to be fast. She's tanky enough and good resistance. That resistance allows her to use her A3 where she can swap health with people. Then she gets targeted by Mischief, but she resists, which is very useful. It helps her save people. Certainly with this particular team, that's very important. Wasn't that important with the Tomb Lord variant, but very important with this. And she's just spamming this A1, placing decreased speed, fills her turn meter, lets her spam more, get back to that taunting set more, hopefully. And Speed Aura is really good too. And she has these masteries. These are very specific masteries for this run. Then we've got Shemnath. She had these masteries. She's in Relentless. I actually stole this gear off of my Jin Toro that I use on Clan Boss on like the live servers. It's fun being able to experiment on the test servers. Good speed, 5k attack, 247% crit damage, and enough accuracy to strip the buffs, place decreased defense with her A1, extend and transfer buffs and all that sort of stuff with her A2. So pretty nice. We had Tomb Drang coming in Guardian set. I really like Guardian set with Tomb Drang. Helps just keep your team alive. 80k HP, good speed, and then built for damage. Tomb Drang he's really easy to build him really well because he doesn't need resistance. He doesn't need accuracy. He just needs good speed and then some good HP. You can kind of just do whatever, you know? So I feel like he's perfect he would be good in a taunting set. I think Guardian is great though, helping your team stay alive. And he had these masteries for this particular run. Then we had the 3 epics. Mother Cybele, we had mastery like this. And she was in Reflex to try reduce the cooldown on her heal and keep Perfect Veil on us. So good speed and just reasonably tanky as I could with Reflex. We had Doom Priest in Guardian set as well to try keep us alive. I tried her in Relentless and it was way too much RNG, especially with Thylessia and Relentless already. So I said Guardian set just gives us that little bit of damage reduction, hopefully lets people stay alive, not get one shot because they are squishy. She's not geared that well, to be honest. She's way too tanky, really. You could definitely switch it up. And she has these masteries. She gives us the increased attack, which is important to up the damage of these damage dealers. Then the Lady of the Hour, really, Thylessia, really fun champion. Again, not the best composition for her because she's so squishy. Like, look at her base stats, 12.7k base HP, 1000 base defense. She just flops over like a wet noodle pretty much. But she's in Relentless to really start cycling through these AoEs and land those hexes. War Master, of course, with all those AoEs. More chance to place hex and extend her debuffs even more. And with her stats, we got her up to about 40k HP, 2.5k defense. This is where it's tough. Like, this was quite a lot of defensive gear invested, you know? We did build her still with damage. It might actually be better to just build her pure defensive, just to try keep her alive. It just feels bad because it's such a poor return on investment, really, with those base stats. But it is what it is. Good speed, though. Relentless. We got her with good crit rate, too. Obviously, enough accuracy. Okay, you could really probably drop the crit rate, crit damage, and attack and really just up her defensive stats. She's still going to provide all this utility, which is still really good. With the Hex buff, I think it's still really good. But I thought her damage was impressive, though. So I was impressed with it. And yeah, that was one of the better runs. With this team on rotation 5, which I had to test on initially, this team actually did, on its best run, I think it did 57 million. Like, it did crazy damage on its best run for, you know, a faction-specific team. But the big problem that it ran into, this version, as you saw with Thylessia, because she keeps extending those burns, because she keeps firing off AoE hits, the Head of Wrath just goes crazy. And then if he gets decreased attack cleansed, or Rector Wrath fails to place decreased attack, if Shemnath missed the buff strip, and then Wrath smacks you while he's enraged and he has increased attack, like, your team just dies. Like, Shemnath, Thylessia are dead 100%. Then Rector's trying to pick them back up, but they keep falling over dead again, and things can sort of fall apart pretty quick. But when it worked well, it worked well. There you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed a little showcase of, like, a crazy team. Thylessia is definitely a champion I'll be coming back to on the live servers. Having tried her out right here, I was really impressed with her, actually. I thought she was really fun. I definitely like to try her in a more stable team and really bring out that utility, which is so strong now. But yeah, it's just she's so squishy. This team wasn't consistent enough to make it work. But if you got good luck, when it worked, it really worked. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this little showcase. Make sure to check out the actual tournament runs over on Deadwood's channel. See how that went. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.